Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the Raw Report for the 7th of September 2020. Overall, not a great show, but not a horrible one either, somewhere in the middle. If you missed the show, you didn't really miss much, but if there's anything you want to see or if you're a completist, not a terrible show to sit through. Anyway, show opens, Michael Cole, Byron Saxton, and Samoa Joe are your commentators. Cole and Tom Phillips is off this week. Wonder if that will negatively affect his career. Randy Orton is out. He basically says that he has beaten Keith Lee, Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens on his path back to the title. He says that he shouldn't have to defeat any of them. He also mentions all the legends he's kicked in the head and threatens to kick Keith Lee in the head. And he said he could list all that he has done, but it would take 3 hours, and Raw is only 3 hours. He wondered if Drew McIntyre is actually going to make it to Clash of Champions. Said he would be the champion if McIntyre does not make it to the Clash of Champions show. Siren hits, and McIntyre is out as the driver of an ambulance. He runs in, nails Orton, and takes him out, and I don't know, this feels like they're trying to recapture 15, 20 years ago when Austin used to do this type of stuff. It feels lame. It doesn't fit here. Anyway, Hurt Business is shown walking through the back earlier today. MVP accused a janitor of saying something negative about Shelton Benjamin's mother. Lashley held him against the wall, and he fights with them. MVP accuses him of calling him a liar, and they obviously can't be reasoned with. McIntyre tells Adam Pearce that he would be at Clash of the Champions under any means necessary. Pearce then says that McIntyre is not cleared to fight, and McIntyre says that, and also asks McIntyre to leave. McIntyre says he will leave. Pearce tells security to watch for the retribution. Six-man tag match, U.S. champion Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin defeat Apollo Crews, Ricochet, and Cedric Alexander in just under 4.5 minutes. Hurt Business attack Alexander early during the entrance of the match. Alexander turned on his team during the match. Crews tries making a tag to Ricochet. Alexander pulls him off the apron, attacks him, and tosses him into the barricade. Alexander also attacks Crews and gives him the lumbar check. Benjamin finished off Crews with the pay dirt pinfall win. Hurt Business is all excited. Alexander didn't immediately join them, but teases it. I don't know. The Cedric Alexander thing has been too predictable, and if you're going to do it at a network show, do it where it matters. Do it in a singles, even a tag match. I think the six-man's a throwaway, and it's not necessary. Then we move into a match that just buries the tag team championships. Raw Tag Team Champions Street Process, Andrade and Angel Garza with Zelina Vega in a non-title match under 2 minutes. Buries the championships because we've seen this match about 78 times, and, Garza argues with Vega on the outside. Andrade demanded that he be paid attention to. Garza begins leaving, and he does this when he knows Andrade is in trouble. Spinebuster by Dawkins, and Ford follows up with probably the biggest frog splash I've ever seen. This is worth going out of your way to see just because it's cool looking. Then we see SmackDown Tag Team Champions Cesaro and Nakamura enter. They make a challenge in short to the Street Profits for the Tag Team Championships next week. I hate this because if you're going to have brand splits, then the champions should be kept apart. And if you're going to do champion versus championship, it should be built up for more than 1 week. I also hate this because there is a huge disparity between Nakamura and Cesaro, talent-wise, and the Street Profits. Obviously, the former far more talented. And they battle over who gets to say we want the smoke, and this is just horrible. R-Truth is having dinner in a suite at the arena. He gets a revealed ninja. Tozawa shows up, and he manages to evade issue, and they run around with a food cart. This is stupid. Peyton Royce defeats Billy Kay in just under 2 3/4 minutes. Probably the best either one of them has looked in the ring is with each other, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're friends and it's easier to work with your friends sometimes. They each have new music, not a big deal. And I guess it is what it is. They exchange weak strikes early. Match goes back and forth. Royce wins with a spinning brainbuster, and they help each other up after the match. They hug. They plug Dominic Mysterio versus Murphy in the main event, and they refer to Murphy as the ex-disciple of Seth Rollins. Mysterio family is about to make their way to the ring. We go into the second hour. Mysterio family is out to the ring. Charlie Caruso introduces Ray, Dominic, Angie, and Aaliyah. First time I think Aaliyah's been on the television since she was a child. Mysterio couldn't wait to get his hands on Rollins' ex flunky, and Ray says he wants to get his hands on Rollins when his injury heals, and he knew that Murphy was in for it later in the night. Dominic is ready. Murphy emerges and interrupts on the video screen, blamed them for Rollins leaving him. Basically sour grapes there. Murphy wants to end Dominic's career before it begins. Murphy challenges him to a street fight. Obviously, Dominic says yes. Dominic also accuses him of hurting his family. This was fine, but it sets up a main event of Dominic and Murphy. I'm all for pushing new talent, but this is not how you do it. You jump with a guy who's had less than 5 matches in WWE versus a guy who you've treated like an enhancement talent for several years, and that's your main event of Raw. That's just sad. Anyway, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler each have to face the Riot Squad tonight in separate handicap matches. We don't know why. Baszler asked Adam Pearce why she had to do this. Pearce says Jax and Baszler could fight them both, but decided to make them each have the same fight. And this is news to Nia. This is just horrible. Pearce saw McIntyre walk by him and wondered what he's still doing in the building. He tells him to chill out, walk away. Then a throwaway Raw Women's tag match. Asuka and Mickie James defeat Natalya and Lana in just under 5 minutes. Asuka has basically been portrayed as someone who can't keep a friend unless they're of Asian descent. We also learn that Mickie James and Asuka face each other next week. Heels work over James for several minutes. Lana almost pins her with an X Factor. Asuka breaks that up. Natalya tosses Asuka to the outside. James hits Lana with a neckbreaker, but Asuka wasn't on the apron for the tag. And then James goes to the top, but Aaliyah rearranged and tagged herself in. I'm sorry, Asuka, not Aaliyah. Thinking Aaliyah Mysterio, I guess. Anyway, Asuka puts Lana in the Asuka locks, and James took out Natalya. Lana taps out while the camera's focused on James and Natalya on the outside. This is completely pointless and bad camera work. MVP asked Alexander if he was ready to make it official. In the VIP lounge, Alexander said yes to this. MVP and Lashley left. Benjamin stayed back with Alexander to tell him that he better not be trying to double cross all of them. Alexander enters with the Hurt Business. MVP introduces him. And the newest member, Shelton Benjamin, is skeptical of all this. Alexander said he's tired of being poor, he's tired of being down and out, and he wants to learn to earn, making more money. He called Ricochet selfish and wondered why he was sacrificing his own career for Apollo Crews and Ricochet. He calls the Hurt Business the future. Viking Raiders music hit. They enter with Crews and Ricochet. The four of them get in the ring and attack the Hurt Business, and this breaks down into a 8-man tag. Number one, I hate these multi-man matches. Number two, we've already seen many of these talents in the ring, and we give them another 10 minutes. People trade moves. Ivar takes out the Hurt Business with a suicide dive. Alexander avoids a 630 by Ricochet and nails a Michinoku driver for the win. Ricochet accidentally kicked out. Referee covers it. It looks as though Ivar was hurt on a tope dive to the outside. Proof that, number one, guys that big shouldn't be doing topes, but also proof that the move is overused because, well, it finally led to somebody getting hurt for the sake of a throwaway spot. Anyway, Caruso interviews McIntyre, asking why he's still in the building. He claimed he couldn't find a phone or an exit, and he said he'd do his best to find a phone. Kevin Owens approached Shane McMahon. Now, wait a minute. So, first of all, the WWE champion can't afford his own cell phone, nor does he have any friends that have a cell phone. This is a ridiculous excuse. Anyway, Kevin Owens approaches Shane McMahon outside of Raw Underground, and Shane admitted they'd had problems, but it's all water under the bridge. Owen calls him a vulgarity. Then Shane opens the door for him. Randy Orton defeats Keith Lee by DQ at 6:20. Orton tries stalling. Lee goes after him. Orton takes over and hits a thumb to the eye with the ref slightly taken away. Orton goes for an RKO, but Lee doesn't move, and he's looking strong. Lee knocks Orton from the ring and goes for a pounce. Orton simply dropped down, and Lee runs over him, collides with the barricade, and then Orton applies a chinlock. Lee gets to his feet. Orton tried the RKO. Lee slips out. Orton found a splash elbow strike and a power slam for a near fall. Orton slipped off Lee's shoulders, hit the RKO. McIntyre flew into the ring and hits Orton with a Claymore kick for the DQ win for Orton. McIntyre says he wanted him to see him in his nightmares. I don't know. Not great. Anyway, Aleister Black beats a random dude with a black mask in Raw Underground. Shane said they're still waiting on Kevin Owens, who we already saw, so why are we waiting? Owens appears, tackles Black. They brawl for a little bit, less than 30 seconds probably, and then Owens gives Black a back body drop onto the outside, and Shane cuts to commercial and said, said there'd be more later. Post-break, Orton yells at Pierce for not doing his job, and McIntyre is once again forced out of the building. Orton says that his word means nothing, and actually, as a crony, it doesn't. 2-on-1 handicapped, Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan defeat Shayna Baszler with Nia Jax at 2.5 minutes. Baszler was in control of Morgan, but gets distracted by Jax mocking her offense. Morgan slips the move and rolls Baszler up. Pinfall. Jax is amused by this. Raw Underground is back. Owens and Black are continuing to go at it again. Black hits him with an armbar. Owens basically swings him into a wall. Owens bumped into somebody, and they both Owens and Black start fighting with other people. 2-on-1 handicap match, Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan against Nia Jax. This ends in a no contest. Goes about 2.5 minutes. Interrupted by the stupid retribution thing. Morgan makes a tag as the lights begin to flicker. Ruby gave Jax a riot kick. Morgan follows up with a modified codebreaker. Lights continue their thing, and the lights then go out. Retribution appeared on the screen. They now officially have a logo. They speak with distorted voices. They say WWE discarded them, and they were driven to destroy every superstar and fan. Darkness of Retribution will fall upon the WWE. Mysterio told Sarah in the back that they were not intimidated by Murphy's words and knew what he's trying to get under the skin of Dominic Mysterio and trying to keep in Rollins' good graces at the same time. And the Mysterios know how to handle themselves. Back to Raw Underground. Owens and Black are at it yet again. Owens uses double foot stomp. Anyway, Owens bumps into the Dabba-Kato person. He then gets laid out with a slam. Black tries to take advantage, but Kato gives Black a choke slam, and that ends that real quick. Orton is limping through the back, and Caruso tries to interview him. McIntyre attacked him again, and they set up. He sets up and hits another Claymore. Dominic, Rey, and Aaliyah each enter the ringside area holding kendo sticks. Murphy immediately knees Dominic before landing and launching him over the announce table. Murphy has his eyes on Mysterio and his family, but Dominic attacks him and launched him over the table. They fight into the, I guess, where the people should be. Dominic climbed to the top front row screen and jumped off with a dive on Murphy. That just seems ridiculous to me. Anyway, Dominic's still in control after the commercial break. Murphy fights him off and slams him into the edge of the ramp. Murphy tries shoving Dominic's eye into the steps, and Mysterio ends up dropping him over the barricade. Murphy attacks with a steel chair and covered him for near fall. Dominic tries a DDT. Murphy launches him 3 times into the ring post. Murphy ties him up in the ropes and tries attacking him with a kendo stick. Dominic kicks him away. Murphy goes back to the kendo stick, but Ray grabs it away from him, and Murphy's on the outside. Angie and Aaliyah free Dominic from the ropes at this point. Dominic then runs towards the ropes and hits a sunset flip bomb, sending Murphy into the table on the outside. I mean, that was a cool looking spot, I guess. Dominic follows up with a frog splash, but Murphy kicks out. Ray and Dominic tie up Murphy in the ropes, took turns hitting him with the kendo stick, and they take off the shirt before continuing this brutality. Aaliyah and Angie get in the ring so they could join in. Aaliyah doesn't hesitate, and after several more shots, Murphy submits. Dominic wins. Post-match, the entire family just beats the heck out of him, and that closes the show. Like I said, skippable Raw. Sad for Ivar that he gets injured, but 3 hours of my life I won't get back. Anyway, we'll be back to finish out 1983 in World Class and more, so keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.